Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that 2017's Wonder Woman movie has taken the world by storm. Finally, we have a female superhero in her own successful film. While audiences might now be familiar with star Gal Gadot, they may not realize how incredibly interesting her life has been. Here are a few things from her life that prove Gadot is a lot more than just a pretty face. Israeli roots. Gal Gadot was born in Rosh Hayyin, Israel on April 30th, 1985. Her mother worked as a teacher, her father was an engineer, and her grandparents were survivors of the Holocaust. Athletically inclined as a child, Gadot played sports and studied dance, including ballet, hip-hop, modern, and jazz, and once aspired to be a choreographer. It's no surprise that she's blessed with the ability to move her body fluidly. Her first name means wave, and her last name means riverbank. Beauty queen. A talent scout spotted Gadot and encouraged her to participate in the 2004 Miss Israel competition, which she easily won. Gadot admitted that she didn't even actually want to win, telling Glamour magazine, "I never thought I would win. I was shocked when they crowned me." After that, Gadot intentionally sabotaged herself during the Miss Universe competition.
So I did anything I could not to win, so I came down late, I wasn't wearing the evening gowns, I didn't wear any makeup.
Although she didn't want to win Miss Universe, the experience ended up launching her modeling career. Law and Order. Before Gadot began her acting career, she went to school to study law, then served in the Israel Defense Forces for 2 years, where she worked as a combat instructor. She couldn't escape modeling even during her time in the IDF, and was included in Maxim's 2007 Women of the Israeli Army feature. This was just the beginning of the media attention Gadot would receive. Over the years, she's modeled for many campaigns and was recently named the face of Gucci's bamboo perfume. Babes and Bond. Boo Boat, which translates to Babes in English, may have been a short-lived series in Israel, but it helped Gal Gadot gain some experience and visibility. The scripted show followed the lives of models and only lasted for a season, but it was the future actress's first acting job. Gadot took the small-time role after the casting director of Quantum of Solace invited her to audition to be a Bond girl. She declined, but the encounter seems to have been a turning point in her career. After finishing her first year in school, she abandoned her studies to appear in her first film, Fast and Furious, thanks to the same very persistent casting director. Love and Marriage. Around the same time she was appearing in her first feature film, Gadot and businessman Yaron Varsano were introduced by mutual friends when they attended an offbeat party in the desert. While they didn't necessarily buy into the gathering's theme of practicing yoga, clearing chakras, and eating a healthy diet, they were definitely into each other. Gadot told Glamour, "I think I knew he was the one, but I was too young to get it. He did. He's 10 years older than me. He told me on our second date he was serious and wasn't going to wait more than 2 years to ask me to marry him. Fast forward 2 years, he proposed. We were married in 2008. The pair have 2 daughters, Alma, who was born in 2011, and Maya, who joined the family in 2017. Big screen. After wowing moviegoers in the Fast and Furious franchise, Gal Gadot has also delivered some memorable performances in smaller roles. Notably, Gadot played a henchwoman in Night and Day, where she easily fit in with the film's big stars Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. Changing gears, Gadot appeared as Netanya, one of many love interests in Date Night. Gadot also appeared in an episode of Entourage as Lisa, a supermodel who has the misfortune of dating Vincent Chase. But the best was yet to come. Burgers and ice cream. Getting in shape for a superhero movie isn't an easy feat, but Gal Gadot has it covered. To take on the role of Diana Prince, she gained 17 pounds. Obviously, she worked out a lot, incorporating a variety of martial arts and paddleboarding. Despite how seriously she takes her job, Gadot also embraces her inner foodie. While she says that she looks at food as fuel for her body, she also indulges in favorite treats, burgers and ice cream. She explained to Harper's Bazaar, "I don't restrict myself, I can eat everything. It's all a matter of measurements and the quantity of the food. Just give the food the respect and give yourself the respect to enjoy it." Dawn of Justice. There was a lot of hype about Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and most of it was leading up to the release focused on the men in the starring roles. To everyone's surprise, it was Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman that was a showstopper. Her appearance laid the foundation for her standalone Wonder Woman film, and while many questioned the box office draw of a standalone female superhero movie, Wonder Woman delivered big time at the box office, raking in over $101 million domestically during its opening weekend. That makes it the biggest opener for a film directed by a woman. Of course, it's not just about ticket sales. Critics and audiences have heaped on the praise as well. Gadot is signed on for at least 2 more DC films, so we can't wait to see how her stunning and amazing transformation continues for years to come.
Michelle Obama was both the First Lady and the public's best gal pal. She might be speaking to students, military troops, or VIPs at a White House gala, but somehow she appears to be talking specifically to each of us every time she starts sharing her pearls of wisdom. Born into a middle-class family on the south side of Chicago, Michelle carved out her extraordinary success through hard work and relentless dedication, boldly challenging the status quo throughout her life. As a former lawyer and Ivy League graduate, she's used her post as First Lady to advocate for women's rights, education, equality, gun control, and wellness. As she prepares to move out of the White House just after her 53rd birthday, we're celebrating how far she's come. Here's a look at Michelle Obama's stunning transformation over the years. Humble beginnings. Michelle Obama might be a fashion icon now, but long before she had Gucci on speed dial, she grew up sharing a one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment with her parents and older brother. Her dad was a city pump operator and her mom was a homemaker, and their family of 4 shared tight quarters within a bungalow with other relatives. Obama once said of her early life, "Everything that I think about and do is shaped around the life that I lived in that little apartment in the bungalow my father worked so hard to provide for us." Though they weren't wealthy, her parents did manage to keep things positive with some uplifting traditions, like taking Sunday drives and hosting family game nights. Yes, she can. Michelle's parents encouraged her and her brother Craig to do well in school, and both excelled immediately, even skipping the 2nd grade because of their smarts. Michelle was chosen for her local gifted and talented programs and was later admitted to Chicago's first academic magnet school, which she later had to travel an hour on the bus to attend. When she told her high school teachers she wanted to go to Princeton, there were plenty of doubters. But not only did the National Honor Society student get into Princeton University, she also graduated cum laude in 1985 and then went on to earn her law degree from Harvard University in 1988. The boss. Fresh out of Harvard, Michelle landed a job at a Chicago law firm as a junior associate, and soon after, she was put in charge of mentoring a summer intern, a man who would later become her husband, the then 26-year-old Barack Obama. The eventual president joked about his first impression of Michelle to Oprah, saying, "I remember being struck by how tall and beautiful she was. She, I have since learned, was pleasantly surprised to see that my nose and ears weren't quite as enormous as they looked in the photo I'd submitted for the firm directory." He asked multiple times, and eventually she agreed to go out with him for ice cream, after which they shared their first kiss, and the rest, well, is history. Breaking ground. After dating for 3 years, the Obamas wed in 1992, holding their reception at the South Shore Cultural Center in Chicago. But back when the bride was growing up in the same neighborhood 20 years prior, the then country club was segregated, she later revealed in their vows. Barack didn't pledge riches, only a life that would be interesting. On that promise, he delivered. Mom first. Years before she moved into the White House while her husband was running for the U.S. Senate, Obama made a point of negotiating fair work flexibility for raising her 2 young girls. She shared her tough negotiating strategy with Parade, saying that when she applied for her last job before becoming the First Lady, she brought her daughter Sasha to the interview with her and said, "This is what I have, 2 small kids. My husband is running for the U.S. Senate. I will not work part-time. I need flexibility. I need a good salary. I need to be able to afford babysitting. I will get the job done. I can work hard on a flexible schedule." I was very clear, and he said yes to everything. Making history. When Barack Obama became president, he and Michelle both made history, as she also became the first Black First Lady. She also opened the doors of the White House to others as well, saying that she and Barack felt they had a responsibility to make their home feel like the people's house. She also established the first White House garden since Eleanor Roosevelt's during World War II, complete with beehives that house the first bees. As an outspoken advocate for nutrition awareness and exercise, Obama thought the garden would be a good teaching tool to promote healthy eating and food source education. Salary sacrifice. Michelle Obama made a pretty penny in her career as a hospital executive before her husband won the presidency. And while her husband takes a presidential salary, Obama receives no such stipend for her work. Experts have estimated, though, that for all she does in her role, a fair salary would be right around what she was earning before.
Come to find out is that you don't sweat the small stuff.
Fashionista. Michelle Obama's legacy for championing healthy food choices and fitness will live on, to be sure, but she'll also likely be remembered for her stunning fashion choices throughout the years. Her ability to make even the most simple items look ravishing has not gone unnoticed by the public, and her swanky dress styles have become legendary. She's also helped shine a spotlight on some up-and-coming designers like Jason Wu and Tracy Reese. And her willingness to show off those toned arms of hers in these gowns has made her a supreme bit of fitspiration for all. Madam President? After her inspiring speeches on the campaign trail for Hillary Clinton's presidential run in 2016, there have been many who have expressed an interest in Michelle Obama herself making a move for the president spot.
We need an adult in the White House.
She's consistently denied any interest in the job, but the crowd's passion for the possibility only confirms her ability to reach the hearts and souls of a great many diverse people worldwide. And as the Obama administration comes to a close, Michelle's fierce feminism, consistent wisdom, timeless grace, and great sense of humor have left a lasting impression that will be hard to replicate by any incoming First Lady. Melania Trump. She's about to be the First Lady. But what do we really know about her journey from model to mom? Here's a look at the stunning transformation of Melania Trump. Growing up Knaus. She was born Melania Knaus on April 26, 1970 in the tiny town of Sevnica in the former Yugoslavia. According to the AP, her father Victor worked as a salesman and her mother Amalia was a children's clothing designer. Childhood friend Mirjana Jelancic said that, "I think I can say Sevnica was too small for her. Even as a child, she dreamed of moving." Child prodigy. While attending the Secondary School of Design and Photography in Ljubljana, Melania was discovered by photographer Stana Jurko at the age of 16. He taught her how to pose, but ran into an unusual problem when he first went to photograph her. He couldn't find any shoes that would fit her. "I didn't have shoes for her because she had very big feet. The other models had smaller feet." Despite this handicap, Melania went on to model in Paris and Milan before moving to New York to follow her American dream. She did what she had to do. In New York, Melania struggled at first to land modeling gigs. So according to GQ, she improvised going on casting calls for alcohol and tobacco ads, which her underage competitors couldn't be hired for. And former roommate Matthew Atanian said she ended up getting breast augmentation to be more competitive. She went away for a 2-week vacation, then came back and was more buxom. She admitted it to me. She just said it needed to be done to get more lingerie jobs. All of this led to her infamous nude British GQ spread in 2000. In a 2015 interview with Barbara Walters, Melania gracefully acknowledged her former career.
I think people will always judge. Maybe they will say, oh, the past that you have, the way you were modeling. That's part of the job that I was doing. I was a very successful model. And I did some photo shoots. Yes, they were a little risky, but nothing more than you see every year in Sport Illustrated.
Meeting the Donald. In 1998, the then 28-year-old Melania met her future husband, Donald Trump, at a party during New York Fashion Week. She quickly took charge, getting his number.
Well, first when we met, I didn't give him my number. He was with a date. So I told him, give me your number and I will call you. I wanted to see what kind of number he would give me. Business, home. If he would give me a business number, I'm not a girl doing business with him.
Her friend Matthew Atanian said it didn't go well at first, but eventually worked out. She had some trust issues with him at the beginning. She kept her apartment to have her own space because of this. It's all about that power and protection. I think she needed a strong man, a father figure, one that would put a $3 million ring on it. Her marriage philosophy. Melania told Parenting magazine, quote, "I don't think you need to be with your husband every minute of every day. Both people should do what their passion is and then get together in the mornings and evenings and share and experience life and have a great time. You know that saying, work hard and play harder. That's what we do." End quote. For her part, during their marriage, Melania has kept active in creating a skincare line and jewelry collections while also raising their son, Baron. Motherhood over politics. In a late 2015-2020 interview on ABC with the Trumps, Barbara Walters questioned why Melania wasn't more active in the campaign. Melania answered decisively.
Well, it's my choice not to be there. I support my husband 100%, but we have a 9-year-old son together, Baron, and I'm raising him, and this is the age he needs a parent at home.
Hard to argue with that. First Lady. In her most public role yet, Melania is taking on the role of First Lady of the United States. She will be America's second foreign-born First Lady, a fact that has already led people to ask her what she thinks about her husband's immigration policies, which is no surprise. Like all First Ladies, one of her main jobs will be the task of defending her husband, as she has already had to do regarding his comments toward women. The words my husband used are unacceptable and offensive to me. This does not represent the man that I know. He has the heart and mind of a leader. I hope people will accept his apology as I have and focus on the important issues facing our nation and the world. The next Jackie Kennedy? Melania has stated she would take on a traditional role as First Lady, citing Jackie Kennedy as an inspiration in an interview with GQ, which noted that JFK's wife was endlessly glamorous and endlessly tolerant of her husband's philandering. Professor of History Catherine Jellison, who studies First Families, also cited Jackie Kennedy as a likely role model for Melania. I think she will be a quiet First Lady, because that's been her demeanor throughout the campaign, someone who doesn't weigh in on policy issues. She might be a sort of Jackie Kennedy type, well-dressed woman who will be seen as popular in the women's magazines but largely stays quiet and on the sidelines in terms of her public image. Only Melania can truly know how similar she is to Jackie, but one thing is certain, we're all about to find out. Before she lit up the tabloids as Prince Harry's girlfriend, Meghan Markle was turning heads as an actress and model. She's a self-made woman with beauty, grace, and charm. But of course, no fairy tale is without its setbacks. From struggling with her multiracial identity to a very public divorce to knocking down the patriarchy, Markle's obstacles have only made her stronger. Identity crisis. Born Rachel Meghan Markle on August 4, 1981, Markle comes from a showbiz background. Her dad, Thomas Markle, is a cinematographer. And as a kid, Markle tagged along to set, spurring her interest in showbiz. But things weren't as easy as they seemed for the budding actress. Markle's dad is Caucasian, while her mother, Doria Ragland, is African American. Markle wrote in Elle about not knowing where she fit on the racial identity spectrum thanks to a classroom questionnaire and not knowing which box to check. My teacher told me to check the box for Caucasian. I couldn't bring myself to do that, to picture the pit in her belly sadness my mother would feel if she were to find out. So I left my identity blank, a question mark, an absolute incomplete, much like how I felt. Later, her father told her, if that happens again, you draw your own box. Defining herself. Markle has carved out a place for herself in an industry that wasn't always willing to accept her. She described her frustrations with entertainment industry labels in Elle, saying, I wasn't black enough for the black roles and I wasn't white enough for the white ones, leaving me somewhere in the middle as the ethnic chameleon. Even after Markle achieved stardom, Hollywood still tried to minimize her features. She told Allure, to this day, my pet peeve is when my skin tone is changed and my freckles are airbrushed out of a photo shoot. For all my freckle-faced friends out there, I will share with you something my dad told me when I was younger. A face without freckles is a night without stars. Social conscience. In 2015, Markle recounted a story on her now-defunct website, The Tig, that was relayed to her by her grandfather. When Markle's mother was young, the family went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and because of their color, were forced to eat in the parking lot instead of inside. Markle wrote, that story still haunts me. It reminds me of how young our country is, how far we've come, and how far we still have to come. It makes me wonder what my parents experienced as a mixed-race couple. Today, Markle says those stories instilled in her a social consciousness to do what I could and to, at the very least, speak up when I knew something was wrong. Making ends meet. As Markle first struggled to distinguish herself in Hollywood, one of her early television appearances was in 2006, as a briefcase girl on the game show Deal or No Deal. Just 25 years old at the time, Markle said the experience helped her understand what she really wanted to do. No one ever chose her suitcase, forcing her to stay on her feet for the entire game. She said, I would end up standing up there forever in these terribly uncomfortable and inexpensive 5-inch heels just waiting for someone to pick my number so I could go and sit down. It wouldn't be long before she'd slip into some nicer kicks. Dream Girl. Landing the role of Rachel Zane on the legal drama Suits transformed Markle into a star. In 2011, the 29-year-old began filming the series, saying that right away the show stole her heart. The character of Rachel is not only beautiful but also whip-smart, what Markle referred to as the dream girl. Her role didn't just launch her career, but broke ground by landing a multiracial woman on TV. She said, "Some households may never have had a black person in their house as a guest or someone biracial. Well, now there are a lot of us on your TV and in your home with you. And with Suits specifically, you have Rachel Zane. I couldn't be prouder of that. We're Team Rachel all the way." Girl Gang. Markle may have followed her father's showbiz footsteps, but she also got an education, like her mom, who earned a master's in social work from USC. Markle herself graduated from Northwestern in 2003, where she double majored in theater and international studies. Using her degrees, Markle not only acts, she has also worked for the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires and as a UN women's advocate. And Markle's already making waves. In 2016, at the age of 35, she took part in the One Young World Summit, joining other young adults who are working to transform the socio-political landscape. Markle believes that her fame is a wonderful opportunity, telling Elle, "It also includes responsibility to advocate and share, to focus less on glass slippers and more on pushing through glass ceilings, and if I'm lucky enough, to inspire." Feminist. Markle's been advocating for women since way back. At the age of 11, she recalls seeing a commercial played on the TV in her classroom, claiming, quote, "Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans." According to her, the boys in her class exclaimed, "Yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen." Markle went home and wrote letters to civil rights lawyer Gloria Allred and then First Lady Hillary Clinton. Moved by the young girl's outrage, the women pledged their support, and within a few months, the commercial was edited. Now, people all over America were fighting greasy pots and pans. Today, Markle eschews feminist stereotypes. In a 2016 keynote at the Create and Cultivate conference, Markle was asked by an audience member how she balances being feminine with being a feminist. Markle said,
"They are not mutually exclusive. You can still be a woman who wants to look beautiful and present well, and it doesn't lessen the fact that you are standing up for something that is incredibly important. You don't have to play dress up to be a feminist. You are a feminist exactly as you are."
Privacy. Markle dated producer Trevor Engelson for several years before the celebrity power couple became engaged. The pair were married for just 2 years before divorcing in 2013, making the split public shortly after Markle's 32nd birthday. While the split seemed amicable at the time, Markle's divorcee status was scrutinized by the public when she became involved with Prince Harry in 2016. The actress distanced herself from the gossip, even shutting down her lifestyle site The Tig as she was thrust into the spotlight. Her parting message: "Above all, don't ever forget your worth. As I've told you time and time again, you, my sweet friend, you are enough." Working girl. Markle has truly transformed herself into an icon, far from the typical celebrity. She may be an A-list actress, but Markle wants to change the world, saying her true passion is to use whatever status I have as an actress to make a tangible impact. I've always wanted to be a woman who works, and this type of work is what feeds my soul. Ivanka Trump, daughter of Donald Trump, has displayed a remarkable transformation from heiress to fashion designer, businesswoman, wife, mother, and two-time published author. No matter what you might think of her father, there's no denying that Ivanka Trump has both the fashion and business sense to carry her far in her own right. Here's a look at the stunning transformation of Ivanka Trump. From boarding school to modeling. When Ivanka was still a teenager, she transferred from the Chapin Day School in New York City to Choate Rosemary Hall, a boarding school in Wallingford, Connecticut. The change wasn't easy, as she told Marie Claire. "I was all of a sudden in the prison of boarding school life, and all my friends in New York were having fun. To have an excuse to travel rather than being at the boarding school all the time, she started modeling, signing with Elite Model Management at the age of 14. Her early career included a spread in Elle and Tommy Hilfiger ads before landing the cover of 17 in 1997. She also walked runway fashion shows and co-hosted the Miss Teen USA pageant in 1997, which was owned by her father. Even though her modeling career was hot, she wasn't ready to make a long-term career out of it. She ditched modeling for college. Despite a successful modeling career, Ivanka was destined for a different path, so she began her college career at Georgetown University, where she studied for 2 years before transferring to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, where her father attended. She graduated with a degree in economics, the same as her dad, in 2004. Even during college, she was doing speaking engagements, like in 2003 when she spoke at the Television Critics Association to promote the film she appeared in, Born Rich. Venturing into the business world. After graduation, Ivanka worked briefly at Forest City Enterprises as a project manager, which was her first professional introduction to working in real estate, despite her personal connection to the business through her father. According to her, it was important to her to prove that she had the chops for the business. In 2007, 2 years after joining her father's company, she founded Trump Hotels with her brothers. She returned to fashion. Although Ivanka had left the modeling world behind, she wasn't quite ready to abandon her ties to fashion altogether. In 2007, she joined forces with a diamond vendor to create Ivanka Trump Fine Jewelry, a line of diamond and gold jewelry for women buying for themselves. Just a few years later, she expanded the line to include shoes and handbags for working women. The line has since grown even further to include apparel, accessories, home accents, fragrance, and sunglasses. When she introduced her father as a Republican presidential candidate, it was in a $138 dress from her own fashion line. She's an author. In 2009, Ivanka published her first book, The Trump Card, Playing to Win in Work and Life, and celebrated with her signature funky glam look. She told the Zoe Report in 2014 that when it comes to feeling and looking glam, her go-to pieces are an amazing pair of heels and a piece of statement jewelry. She added, "Any outfit is elevated when well accessorized. Her sequin dress and sparkly hoops are a stunning example of this philosophy and are as eye-catching as her smile, which she pairs with a deep, on-trend smoky eye. Even at her book release, she was attracting fans. The book made it to the New York Times bestseller list. She has since penned a second book, Women Who Work, Rewriting the Rules for Success, which is set to be published in 2017. A classy wedding. While Ivanka was raised Presbyterian, she made the decision to convert to Orthodox Judaism after studying for over a year. She then married her husband, businessman Jared Kushner, in a Jewish ceremony in 2009 where she wore a custom Vera Wang gown as well as earrings and other jewels from her own jewelry line. Ivanka described to brides how she imagined herself walking down the aisle, saying, "I would say I am a traditional classic bride. This style is translated in my dress and jewelry choice." On designing the dress, Vera Wang told the New York Times, "She was actually very much about being covered, and I seized on the chance to do a dress that wasn't naked and very Hollywood." Pregnancy didn't hold her back. By 2011, Ivanka was pregnant with her first child. Despite her growing belly, Ivanka still worked hard as a businesswoman. Forbes described her as the world's hardest-working extremely pregnant heiress when it was discovered she was working right up through her due date. On maternity style in general, Ivanka told the Wall Street Journal, "You spend the better part of your youth experimenting and trying to find a style that fits your body type, and all that gets thrown out the window." Her history with the Clintons. Despite Hillary Clinton's run against her father in the 2016 presidential election, Ivanka is close friends with Clinton's daughter, Chelsea.
I think we have great respect for each other, and that hasn't changed. She's a great girl, and she's been a great friend to me. And obviously, the intensity and the scrutiny of this moment in our lives is pretty extreme.
Surprisingly, Ivanka has said that, like many millennials, she doesn't consider herself categorically Republican or a Democrat. In 2007, she donated $1,000 to the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, and in 2012, Ivanka endorsed Mitt Romney for president. Then, just a year later in 2013, Ivanka and her husband hosted a fundraiser for Democrat Cory Booker's U.S. Senate campaign and bundled contributions of more than $40,000. Chelsea Clinton told Vogue that Ivanka sometimes reminds her of her father, Bill Clinton, saying, "She's always aware of everyone around her and ensuring that everyone is enjoying the moment. It's an awareness that in some ways reminds me of my dad and his ability to increase the joy of the room." 2016 presidential election. From 2013 to 2015, Ivanka mostly remained out of the limelight, focused on her business ventures. When Donald Trump announced his run for president, she stood up for him about his remarks on immigration and the way he treats and feels about women, and has served as the face of the campaign's outreach to women. She also spoke out directly about her father's 2005 comments about assaulting women. This tape was over a decade old. I'm sure he didn't remember this conversation but was very embarrassed by it. And he expressed that not only to me personally, but to the American people, and I appreciate that he did that. I think it was very, very important for him to have done so. She stands by her father while calling herself a huge advocate for women and women's issues. She responded by vowing to be an advocate for women in her role in her father's presidency. The future of Ivanka's brand. As a result of the events surrounding the 2016 presidential election, voters began calling for a boycott of all Trump-affiliated products, including Ivanka's brand, and a full boycott of stores who continue to sell her brand. When asked about the boycott, she seemed unconcerned.
Well, the beauty of America is people can do what they like, but I'd prefer to talk to the millions, tens of millions of American women who are inspired by the brand and the message that I've created.
While the Trump name may, to many, be in conflict with what Ivanka wants her brand to represent, she doesn't seem too worried. With a potential role in the White House, she has bigger concerns.
Vanessa Trump, the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr. and the mother of his 5 children, has largely flown under the radar compared to other members of the Trump family. Here are some things you may not know about former model Vanessa Trump. Marrying into the Trump family was not Vanessa's introduction to the lifestyle of the well-to-do. She might not have grown up in the White House, but she still had a pretty pampered upbringing. Born Vanessa Hayden, she grew up in luxury on Manhattan's Upper East Side, where she and her family lived in a townhouse. The young Vanessa attended the pricey Dwight School across town, which reportedly costs nearly $49,000 per year. Vanessa's mother ran a modeling agency, while her father was a celebrity attorney whose famous clients included iconic figures like actress Marilyn Monroe, according to Business Insider. Vanessa and her sister Veronica had a nanny to take care of them, while their high-profile parents went to work. Vanessa told the New York Times that as a child, she would regularly attend crazy parties with her nanny where she rubbed shoulders with models. Surprisingly, Vanessa's ex-boyfriend, gang member Valentin Rivera, says that it wasn't his gang activity or his trouble with the law that ended his relationship with her. Instead, he said that he broke up with her after the New York Post reported that she had been seen on a date with film star Leonardo DiCaprio. On May 1, 1998, the story claimed, DiCaprio's luscious love is 20-year-old fashion model Vanessa Hayden. The passionate pair have been inseparable over the past 2 weeks. They tried to keep a tight lid on their budding romance, but it all spilled out during a private party in a trendy Soho loft last week. The couple could be seen holding hands, kissing and cuddling into the wee hours in a dimly lit corner. The relationship was never officially confirmed, and New York Magazine suggested that Vanessa had started the rumor herself, but it was circulated enough that it meant the end of the alleged relationship between the then-future Vanessa Trump and Rivera. Like many of the women in the Trump family, Vanessa is a former model. It seems like Donald Trump Jr. has similar tastes to his father, whose 3 wives, Ivana Trump, Marla Maples, and Melania Trump, are all former models. The president's daughters have also continued what seems to be a Trump tradition. Ivanka Trump was previously signed to Elite Model Management's celebrity division, while her younger half-sister Tiffany Trump has been occasionally spotted on the runway. While Vanessa's modeling past isn't as widely publicized as the First Lady's, she has extensive experience posing for the cameras. The fact that her mother ran a modeling agency may have helped ease her way into the industry, but Vanessa's good looks ensured that she found steady work. She began modeling as a child and was signed to Wilhelmina Models, as the New York Times reported in 2006. How does a model and socialite who has reportedly dated a gang member end up with the son of a businessman? By being set up by the guy's dad, apparently. Donald Trump was reportedly eager to set up his son with the model. Discussing her introduction to the Trumps in 2003, she told the New York Times, "I'm at this fashion show. Donald Trump comes up to me with his son. Hi, I'm Donald Trump. I wanted to introduce you to my son, Donald Trump Jr." After an awkward conversation, the 3 went back to the fashion show. At intermission, the older Trump introduced his son to Vanessa again, apparently forgetting that he'd already made the introduction. Vanessa reportedly wasn't impressed at first, and it wasn't until a few weeks later, after again being introduced by a mutual friend, that she clicked with Donald Jr. She claimed they talked for an hour, and from there, the romance unfolded. While it seems like Vanessa is the kind of woman that Donald Trump wanted his son to be with, he wasn't always supportive of the relationship, or at least he wasn't supportive of his son's actions. Once Vanessa and Donald Jr. got together, it seemed like things were going smoothly, until their not-so-romantic engagement. Donald Jr. proposed with a $100,000 ring in 2004. The New York Post reported at the time that he got the ring for free in exchange for a public proposal at New Jersey jewelry store Bailey Banks & Biddle. The proposal brought in publicity for the store, but many thought that it was tacky.
I'm very happy. You better be very happy.
Apparently, Vanessa did get a more romantic proposal a couple of months earlier at the couple's home. Donald Jr.'s dad later went on Larry King Live and expressed his disapproval, saying, "You have a name that is hot as a pistol. You have to be very careful with things like this." Her public engagement might not have been the most glamorous event, but at least Vanessa got married in style, as People reported. She and Donald Trump Jr. tied the knot at his dad's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, the estate that the president would later unofficially dub the Southern White House because of the amount of time he spends there. The extravagant ceremony took place in November 2005, less than a year after the then-future president married his third wife Melania at Mar-a-Lago. Vanessa and her husband were both 27 years old. The wedding took place poolside and the bride wore a dress she had designed herself. The ceremony was on the modest side for a Trump event, although the wedding took place in front of 370 guests. Judge Marianne Trump Barry, the groom's aunt, officiated, making the wedding a true Trump affair. It seemed to be a fairy tale wedding and one that would mark a turning point in Vanessa's life. She isn't one of the better-known members of the extensive Trump clan, but it seems that, at least within the family itself, Vanessa is one of the most respected. Donald Trump's eldest daughter, Ivanka, has not been reserved in expressing the admiration she has for Vanessa, or at least she wasn't before Vanessa left Ivanka's brother. She told People in 2016, "My sister-in-law Vanessa is a machine. She can take all of my children and not even notice. She has 5 children and she's Wonder Woman to me. She can be taking care of them all simultaneously, each pulling on her, and have direct, meaningful connections with each of them at one time. It's remarkable." Ivanka called Vanessa an amazing mother and really an inspiration to her. The president's daughter also said that Vanessa is one of the people that she goes to for parenting advice. Vanessa and Don Jr.'s divorce might have come as a surprise to many, but those who are closest to the family claimed that the relationship had been rocky for quite some time. A source told Page 6 in 2018, "He gives her very little help and has been keeping her on a tight budget. She doesn't live a lavish life and can very rarely pick up a check at dinner."
Who's on diaper duty?
While Vanessa's spokesperson denied the rumors that Donald Jr. was tight-fisted and treated his wife, quote, like a second-class citizen, there were problems in the relationship beyond money. According to Us Weekly, Donald Jr. was involved in an affair with Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day from the end of 2011 to March 2012, allegedly ending it only after Vanessa found out about it. While they reconciled, the alleged affair reportedly took a toll on their marriage and might have been one of the contributors to their eventual divorce. Sources claim that Vanessa was warned about Don Jr. more than once. One insider told Page 6, "People were telling her not to marry him before the wedding." Even though she went through with the wedding, people still seem to be skeptical about the couple. The First Lady herself also reportedly warned her stepdaughter-in-law about what the Trump men are really like. An anonymous source told Us Weekly, Melania told her the Trump men are one and the same, vain and power-hungry. Vanessa had allegedly gone to her mother-in-law for relationship advice, prompting the warning. It would seem that Melania doesn't have much confidence in her stepson. She allegedly warned Vanessa to tread lightly. The insider added, Melania told her she could do nothing to change that, and offering her husband an ultimatum would be a huge mistake because he would choose his thirst for power like his dad. Being part of the first family can take quite a toll on even extended members of the family. Things got scary for Vanessa in February 2018 after she opened an envelope addressed to her husband that was filled with a powdery white substance, according to the New York Post. While the substance turned out to be cornstarch, Vanessa was rushed to the hospital in case the then unknown substance ended up being toxic. The envelope turned out to be a prank, but it left Vanessa terrified. She later told Axios, "It was a cowardly act against a mother, and even today, every time I open the mail, I feel the same fear in my heart as I did that day. These recent acts are the acts of a coward and nothing more than terrorism, pure and simple. No one, regardless of political party or ideology, should ever have to go through what I went through." Vanessa seems to have been laying pretty low since her highly publicized divorce from Don Jr. was finalized in February 2019. For now, it looks like she's enjoying being on her own and devoting herself to her kids. She's on social media, but her Twitter account doesn't reveal too many personal details. It's filled with photos of her kids. Her Twitter bio reads, "I'm a mother of 5 amazing kids. My children are my life." She captioned a photo collage of her daughter in June 2019 with, "Happy 5th birthday to my princess Chloe Sophia. You always make everyone smile. May all your dreams come true. We all love you." Her infrequent posts are mostly centered around her kids and her love for them, making it clear that she's a devoted and loving mother. Even though she's no longer legally part of the Trump family, Vanessa still maintains her bond with them. Her kids are Trumps by blood after all, and it seems that Vanessa is doing her best to stay tight with her former in-laws. When she's not tweeting about her kids, she's posting tributes to the family, including a happy birthday post to Grandpa, also known as President Donald Trump, in June 2019. The president's former daughter-in-law was also seen outside the home of his older daughter, Ivanka, and her husband, Jared Kushner, dropping off some of her children in September 2018, according to Vanity Fair. While it isn't clear if Vanessa and Ivanka are as close as they were before the split, it's apparent that they aren't letting the end of Vanessa's marriage keep their children apart. Vanessa may no longer legally be a member of the Trump family, but she doesn't seem ready to completely cut ties with the presidential clan, at least for now. While there were rumors that Vanessa was leaving Don Jr. because of his tight-fisted ways, the former model isn't exactly hurting for cash. Her mother is still alive as of early 2020, but Vanessa inherited a not-so-small fortune from her father, Charles Hayden, who passed away in 2005. Page 6 reported Hayden owned 30% of a specialty foods company that sold for roughly $415 million in 2017, leaving Vanessa and her family with a sizable windfall. According to People, the money would have been untouchable by Donald Jr. in the divorce proceedings since it was part of an inheritance. The fortune ensures that Vanessa will be able to be financially independent with or without her ex-husband.
Legendary songstress Dolly Parton has been a mainstay in the American music and entertainment industry for many years. Her signature style, sparkling personality and wit, angelic voice, and brilliant songwriting have become iconic. As she tells it, "My songs are the door to every dream I've ever had and every success I've ever achieved." So let's look back at how far she's come. Humble beginnings. Dolly was born in 1946 and grew up in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, the fourth eldest of 12 children. Her father worked in a logging camp, and her mother was a preacher's daughter and devoted mother. But the family certainly wasn't basking in the kind of good fortune she'd later enjoy. In a 1978 interview, Dolly said her aunt owned the first television and flushing toilet that Dolly ever saw. The family made their own soap and went to the river to bathe. Destiny. Dolly was first introduced to music by her mother.
My mother used to play the auto harp and the dulcimer and the guitar, and she also used to just sing a cappella, which Mama had a great mountain voice.
When Dolly's Uncle Bill gave her a guitar, she immediately started writing songs. At the age of 10, Dolly started singing and playing guitar on the local TV and radio shows in nearby Knoxville, Tennessee. Her Uncle Bill introduced Dolly to Kaz Walker, a successful grocery chain owner who had created a radio show that later made it to TV, the Kaz Walker Farm and Home Hour. Dolly became a regular on the show, then went on to make her first appearance at the Grand Ole Opry in 1959.
I was scared to death, of course, because I was just a country kid. I always said that my desire to do it was always greater than my fear.
Introduced by Johnny Cash, her performance of George Jones' You Gotta Be My Baby earned her 3 encores. Nashville Bound. As soon as Dolly graduated, she moved to Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music. But before she found fame and fortune, she met a man who, in 2 short years, would become her husband. Soon she got a writing job with a publishing company, but started writing her own songs. Dolly was signed to Fred Foster's Monument Records and had her first top 40 hit with the song Dumb Blonde. Professional connection. Dolly was just 21 years old when she was hired by Porter Wagoner to be the new female vocalist on The Porter Wagoner Show. During that time, she had a hit with Joshua in 1970, and in 1974 had 2 rapid-fire #1 songs with Jolene and Love is Like a Butterfly. But Dolly wanted to step out on her own, and in February of 1974 announced that she was doing just that. Wagoner wouldn't agree to it, so she wrote the song I Will Always Love You to explain things to him, which became her 3rd #1 hit that year. He allegedly told Dolly, "That's the prettiest song I ever heard. And you can go, providing I get to produce that record." Wagoner produced Dolly's records until 1976 and recorded 2 albums after that. In 1978, Parton won CMA's coveted Entertainer of the Year. Landing on screen. In 1980, Dolly had her first movie debut in the comedy 9 to 5, co-starring Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. Dolly was inexperienced but enthusiastic, so she memorized all the roles in the film in addition to her own. In a 1980 interview with Bobby Wygant, Dolly revealed that she filled the time in between shots by writing songs.
I started putting my time to use and I started writing songs and reading a lot, so it worked out okay. I wrote some good songs. I wrote the theme song, by the way.
9 to 5 went to #1 on the pop and country charts and earned the singer-actress an Academy Award nomination. Dolly's next movie, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, took #1 at the U.S. box office, knocking out E.T., which had held the spot for 6 weeks. Boobs and integrity. Dolly appeared on the cover of Playboy, bunny ears, cleavage, bow tie, and all, but she wouldn't take her clothes off for the famous mag. In the Bobby Wygant interview, she talked about turning come-ons into jokes if things got too uncomfortable, and always felt okay walking out the door if things got too weird. She said, "I did meet a lot of sleazy guys, but I never slept with anyone to get where I wanted to go." For years, fans speculated as to whether Parton had an affair with Kenny Rogers. The pair recorded the popular duet Islands in the Stream in 1983, and their chemistry raised a few eyebrows. Dolly fans know that she would never cheat on her husband, but Rogers addressed the long-held rumor in his book Luck or Something Like It, saying that the pair were wonderful friends, and anything sexual would have ruined their friendship. Paying it forward. Dolly has never forgotten what it was like to grow up in an impoverished region. She is passionate about giving, both financially and with her time, to a number of organizations. She also founded the Dollywood Foundation, the nonprofit behind Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, which mails 1 book every month to children in Tennessee, from birth to 5 years old, regardless of the family's income. Dolly's own father could not read or write, inspiring her to offer those opportunities to those in need. Devotion. Dolly met Carl Dean that first day in Nashville in 1966, and they've been together ever since. When asked how the marriage has lasted so long, Dolly jokes, 47 of those years, I was gone.
It's his first marriage and mine, and that's saying a lot to be in this business.
The couple renewed their vows in a private ceremony on May 30th, 2016, on their 50th wedding anniversary. Dolly said, "He's always loved who I was, and I loved who he was, and we never tried to change each other." She wrote the song From Here to the Moon and Back for Carl. Still rockin'. With appearances on The Voice and a recent tour for her album Pure and Simple, as she heads further into her 70s, Dolly Parton isn't stopping. She raised $9 million for the Tennessee wildfire victims, is active on social media, and has been honored with the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award. And about the Dolly look, she freely admits that she's had plastic surgery. She told Southern Living, "I'm in the public eye, so I don't care who knows what I get done. If I see something sagging, dragging, or bagging, I get it sucked, tucked, or plucked. It takes a lot of money to look as cheap as I look." But her heart remains even bigger than her hair.
I've done something good. I've done plenty bad, I'm sure. But I just hope that I'll be remembered well.
Princess Anne is Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II's only daughter of the couple's 4 children. Anne, or the Princess Royal as she is known, is the second oldest child after Prince Charles. Once a headstrong toddler, now a fierce adult, Princess Anne has undergone a stunning, lifelong transformation. Growing up as the Queen's only daughter was rather lonely for Princess Anne, even as she was surrounded by the trappings of palace life. She and her siblings were often left at home while their parents traveled. While many children would no doubt have found such a situation difficult and isolating, Anne understood, even as a child, that her parents had royal obligations to fulfill, something she's carried into her own adult life. The media has sometimes portrayed the Queen as distant and uncaring, but Anne denied this in the BBC One documentary Queen and Country, saying, "I simply don't believe there is any evidence whatsoever to suggest that she wasn't caring. It just beggars belief." Even though she didn't get to spend as much time with her mother as she would have liked, the royal didn't feel abandoned. Princess Anne defended her mother and explained that she and her siblings never had any doubts that Queen Elizabeth cared for them just as much as any other mother would her children. Far from a prim and proper princess, Princess Anne was more of a tomboy who preferred the outdoors, at least when she was little. In the documentary The Real Princess Anne, family friend Countess Mountbatten of Burma revealed that the young princess was, quote, "always very full of life," and even had a knack for mischief. She provided a sharp contrast to her much more reserved brother, Prince Charles. Her father, Prince Philip, referring to her lifelong love of horses, once said of his daughter, "If it doesn't fart or eat hay, she isn't interested." As Princess Anne grew older, she developed a reputation of being somewhat ill-tempered because of her independent spirit. She was often short with the press and disliked being questioned. The book, Elizabeth the Queen, The Life of a Modern Monarch, noted that Princess Anne was nicknamed her royal rudeness by the press after telling reporters to, quote, naff off due to their constant scrutiny of her activities. Anne would eventually rehabilitate her image through her charity work, but it would be years before her work outweighed the perception that she was irritable and prickly in the eyes of the press. Princess Anne is the only girl out of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip's children, which may explain why she is something of a daddy's girl. While she has spoken fondly of both of her parents, she seems to have a particularly close relationship with her father. As royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith noted in Prince Charles, The Passions and Paradoxes of an Improbable Life, Prince Philip could be a rigid parent. The royal is known for being both blunt and sarcastic, and he was often that way with his children. Philip's parenting style was hard for Prince Charles, but Princess Anne felt she knew how to handle their father. Instead of buckling under his criticism, Anne would often be confident enough to, quote, push back, according to the biographer. Prince Philip's demanding ways don't seem to have harmed his relationship with his daughter, in part because they share a certain sensibility. Eileen Parker, the wife of a close friend of the prince, told the Daily Mail that he, quote, always had more fun with Anne, who is very much like Philip himself. Princess Anne wasn't just isolated from her parents growing up, she was separated from most of her family. In 1963, the Princess Royal enrolled in Benedun School, an all-girls boarding school. In the documentary The Real Princess Anne, royal expert Penny Junor revealed that the school's headmistress claimed Princess Anne suffered from extreme nerves on her first day of school. She was so nervous that she reportedly became physically ill. Nevertheless, Anne settled into school and ended up thriving in the company of other young girls.
I did volunteer to go to school, I have to say, and I was thrilled. School was much more interesting.
Princess Anne seems to have been a dedicated student, but after completing her studies at Benedun School, the princess chose not to go on to university. Instead, she began to officially represent the royal family, throwing herself into the same kind of work that she continues today. According to her profile on the royal family's website, Princess Anne's first official royal engagement was in 1969, when she was just 18 years old. The following year, the Princess Royal became the president of Save the Children, a title she proudly retains even decades later. Anne's life has been fully dedicated to public service, with a record that includes work with more than 300 charities in the UK and around the world, including several she co-founded, covering all manner of interests and focuses.
And if you can do anything to raise their profile, then you will have achieved something.
Princess Anne went through a couple of relationships before getting married. The most notable, though, was with Andrew Parker Bowles, who would later go on to marry Camilla Shand, who in turn would go on to marry Prince Charles after Princess Diana, his first wife, from whom he was divorced, died. The complicated relationship was depicted on Netflix's The Crown, although the show embellished details to make the relationship more messy than it was in real life. Royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith told Vanity Fair that Camilla first met Prince Charles in the early 1970s, after she had been dating Bowles off and on for the past half-decade, and became involved with Andrew Parker Bowles in June 1970. But the relationship quickly fell apart because Bowles was Catholic and they couldn't marry. The two remained friends, and Bowles would later become the godfather of Princess Anne's daughter, Zara. On November 14, 1973, Princess Anne married Captain Mark Phillips in arguably one of the best royal weddings in history. Vogue noted that it was the first time in 50 years that a member of the royal family had married a commoner. The couple met through their shared love of horses, and the former army captain had won an Olympic gold medal in 1972 as a member of the British equestrian team. The couple's wedding was a lavish affair. From the fashion to the pageantry, the ceremony was held at Westminster Abbey and televised live, with an estimated 500 million viewers tuning in to see the princess get married. While Princess Anne grew up into a refined young woman, she remained outspoken and strong-minded, balancing her sense of duty with her sense of personality. In 1974, not long after her wedding to Mark Phillips, this strong will proved handy when Anne thwarted an attempted kidnapping. According to BBC News, a young mentally ill man named Ian Ball cornered Princess Anne in her car, asking her to come with him so he could hold her long enough to collect a ransom of £2 million. Rather than going along with his demands or waiting for someone to intervene, declassified papers released by the National Archives report that the royal replied, quote, "Not bloody likely." Princess Anne later called the incident, quote, "infuriating," saying that she had no intention of getting out of the car and going with the man. Still, she kept her cool.
And we had a fairly low-key discussion about the fact that I wasn't going to go anywhere.
Ball was eventually apprehended by a police officer. He pled guilty to attempted murder and kidnapping, and, under the Mental Health Act, was imprisoned for an indefinite sentence. Princess Anne's tomboy ways paid off big time in the late 70s, when she became a famous athlete as well as a famous royal. A lifelong equestrian, Anne had been passionate about horses since childhood and had quite a bit of success on the competition circuit. In 1976, she made history as the first member of the royal family to compete in the Olympics during the Summer Games in Montreal. Her profile on the official website of the royal family noted that, while the princess didn't medal at the Olympics, she did rack up some pretty big awards over the course of her equestrian career. In 1971, Princess Anne won a gold medal in the individual discipline in 1971's European 3-day event championships. In 1975, she won a silver medal in individual and team disciplines. Years later, Princess Anne's daughter Zara Phillips went on to become a champion equestrian, winning a gold medal at the World Championships in 2006 and a silver medal at the Olympics in 2012. In April 1992, Princess Anne filed for divorce from Mark Phillips after a separation of more than 2 years. The split made the Princess Royal only the second member of the royal family to divorce their spouse in the 20th century, following her aunt, Princess Margaret. But she wouldn't be the last. The year 1992 would end up going down in history as Queen Elizabeth's, quote, annus horribilis, so named because of all of the scandalous things that happened that year. 5 weeks before Princess Anne filed for divorce, her younger brother Prince Andrew separated from his wife, Sarah Ferguson. That summer, a book called Diana, Her True Story claims that Princess Diana was trapped in a loveless marriage with Anne's older brother Prince Charles and revealed her eating disorder and struggles with depression to the world. Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles also came to light later that year, and the turbulent period came to a close with a fire at Windsor Castle in November. So, in the end, perhaps Anne's divorce wasn't too bad. While Princess Anne gracefully accepted her place in the royal family, it seems that she wanted her children to have more freedom than she had growing up. When the princess married her first husband, Mark Phillips, he turned down the offer of a royal title from Queen Elizabeth. The Queen then offered to give royal titles to Princess Anne's children, but the offer was again declined. This allowed Princess Anne's children to grow up without as much pressure on them, something they are grateful for. Anne's daughter Zara later said she felt she was allowed to be, quote, more adventurous than her royal cousins and had less public attention growing up.
I think it made us fight harder as well to try and be as successful as we could be.
It's an upbringing Anne's children have opted to keep up with their own families. In fact, not one of Princess Anne's grandchildren have royal titles. In 1992, not long after her divorce from Captain Mark Phillips was finalized, Princess Anne married again. She and second husband, Timothy Lawrence, a commander in the Royal Navy, tied the knot in December of that year in Scotland, for a very specific reason. While it seems like a romantic place to hold a destination wedding, the reason they were married in a Scottish church was because, per the rules of the Church of England, divorcees were not permitted to remarry in any of the sect's churches. Many may think that, as the head of the royal family, Queen Elizabeth II would be the busiest of the British royals. Her children, however, are far busier. As a senior royal, Princess Anne is consistently one of the busiest members of the clan. Based on the number of official royal engagements she takes part in, the Princess Royal completes hundreds of engagements each year. The Telegraph noted that in 2019, she did 506 of the family's 3,567 official engagements that year, while her brother Prince Charles did 521, and the Queen attended 295. The younger royals are less busy. Prince William was at 220 royal engagements, while his wife Kate Middleton was present at 116. While the number of engagements each royal takes on varies from year to year, Vanity Fair noted that Princess Anne and Prince Charles have been taking on most of the workload since the 1990s, when their aging parents began to cut down on royal engagements. In 2017 and 2018, Princess Anne did more engagements than her brother, but Prince Charles was officially the busiest member of the family in 2016 and 2019.
2016 was a big year for actress Chrissy Metz. The NBC show she stars in, This Is Us, premiered and was met with instant success. Metz's character Kate, a woman who works for her brother and is struggling through her personal weight loss goals, is vulnerable, and viewers are given a close look into her day-to-day life. With the show in the spotlight, Metz has had the opportunity to open up about her own struggle with weight loss. She keeps it real, which feels like a breath of fresh air in an industry that does not always do the same. Let's take a look at Metz's journey of weight loss, fame, and undying gratitude for it all. Childhood struggles. Metz's weight is something she has dealt with her entire life. She told The Hollywood Reporter, "My friends could eat whatever they wanted to, but I knew that as a kid, if I ate certain things, I would totally gain weight. I had to be really cognizant of what I ate." She also reminisced about her childhood with People magazine, telling them that she was chubby at a young age, in large part to how her family perceived food. She says, "In my family, we're German and Irish and Italian, and so food is love. And food is like, when you're sad, oh here, eat. When you're happy, have some." Things got even tougher when she hit puberty. Apparently, her mother remarried and had 2 younger, slimmer daughters with her new husband. When back-to-school shopping came around, she couldn't ignore the thought that her mom enjoyed trying on clothes more with her sisters than with her. Being on a show with flashbacks to her character's childhood has been difficult for Metz. She explained to The Hollywood Reporter, "Rebecca just wants her daughter to be happy and of course not be made fun of and just live a normal life. No matter what, somebody is going to pick on you for something. It's a complicated dynamic and it is heartbreaking." Panic attack. Metz has been determined in the past to lose the weight, and a few years before This Is Us premiered, she took it to an extreme. She shared with People that before moving to Los Angeles, she lost 50 pounds on the recommendation of her then manager. She then gained back 100 pounds due to depression and because she was, in her words, eating my feelings. It took a trip to the hospital on her 30th birthday due to a panic attack to make her rethink her strategy. She told the magazine, "I was so gung-ho, I lost 100 pounds in less than 5 months. All I did was eat a 2,000-calorie diet and walk 20 minutes a day." Not long after, she snagged her role in American Horror Story. Her character required her to wear a fat suit. She says, "It was sobering. I thought, what if I become that heavy and can't walk around or get stuck in the door frame? I was like, I don't want this for me." This awareness has led Metz to become a voice for those who may be uncomfortable talking about body image issues. 81 cents in the bank. Even though acting was what Metz knew she wanted to do, getting to where she is now was not easy. After her big break on American Horror Story, the role ended and she was back where she started. She told Glamour about the incredible support system that helped her get through tough times. "I kept auditioning with no savings and no money, credit card debt gaining interest. I went on unemployment. I bought ramen noodles at dollar stores. I moved in with a roommate who told me, stay with me until you can afford rent. Don't give up." When she booked the role on This Is Us, the actress had 81 cents in her bank account. And then life changed quickly. But Metz's attitude did not. She told the magazine, "You may think, ooh, you're on TV, you're a millionaire. No, it's definitely a lot more than I was making, but I still live with my roommate, though I pay my proper share of the rent now." Her most recent splurge after she repaid her friends and paid her credit cards off? A pair of Alexander McQueen shoes. Nice. Fate plays a part. Although Metz has had to go through some tough times and struggles to get to where she is today, she has no regrets. As a matter of fact, she firmly believes everything happens for a reason, and that her journey with weight loss and putting the weight back on and losing it again is all a part of this. She told The Hollywood Reporter, "The trajectory is that Kate will be losing weight just as I will in real life to reflect the character in her arc and her journey." She points out, though, that she wouldn't have gotten this role if she'd already lost all the weight. In her eyes, she is and had been exactly where she's supposed to be. With such a positive and open attitude, the actress is ready to tackle the tougher issues on the show. She tells The Hollywood Reporter that she knows from experience that losing weight isn't the end of the story. She says, I have friends, and I know that when you do lose weight, you're happy and it's exciting, but there are other things going on. There are other things that make us want to eat or overspend or fill a void with something. Some foreshadowing, perhaps? This show is my life. What makes Metz and her show This Is Us so special is all of the characters' vulnerability. This display of emotion gives the audience a chance to see these characters, Metz included, for who they are, and to realize they are relatable in both their good and bad moments. Speaking with ET about this very topic, Metz said, "I think everyone has shame about something, whether it's a lack of a relationship with a child or maybe their weight or a lack of communication within their marriage. Everyone can relate to that because we all have something that we're like, God, I can work on that, or I wish I was doing better at this." Open and honest, as always, fans flock to Metz because they finally found a woman who isn't afraid to show her flaws. As she told Glamour, she's had women of all ages and sizes tell her that Metz's role has changed their lives. She says, "That makes all the struggle, all the ramen noodles, all the times when I couldn't pay my bills, all the times where I was like, I can't do this, worth it." But don't think that all this fame, praise, and Alexander McQueen shoes are going to change Metz. She's grounded and intends to stay that way. She told the magazine, "Sometimes I cry on the way to the set still. There is something that happens when you are grateful. You continue to keep receiving blessings. So I will always be grateful. And now we need a tissue." Thank you, Chrissy, for keeping it real.
Actress Gabourey Sidibe catapulted from college plays to the big screen when director Lee Daniels hired her to star in the 2009 film Precious. Since then, she's had a vibrant career and served as a great role model for plus-size women. Today, she's confident in herself and comfortable in her own skin. But it took a long time for her to get there. Let's take a look at her stunning transformation through the years. Hard times. Gabourey Malingare Sidibe was born on May 6, 1983 in Brooklyn, New York. According to Nylon, her first name means the one with the beautiful cheeks, and her middle name means my queen. Entertainment is in Sidibe's blood. Alice Tan Ridley, her mother, has been singing on subway platforms on the side for 30 years, trying to build a career. Ridley finally got featured on America's Got Talent at age 57 and made her first record at age 63. While Sidibe has singing talent herself, she initially wanted no part of show business. In a 2015 interview with BuzzFeed, the actress said, "Watching her struggle made me want to get a 9-to-5 job. I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to wonder where my next paycheck was coming from." Daddy issues. The actress told Nylon in 2017 that her father, Ibnou Sidibe, beat her and called her fatso when she was young. She admitted that her childhood gave her a lot of acting practice. She told the magazine, "I grew up pretending I was okay when I wasn't." She admitted that she's long disregarded her father and that she's tried to move on. The little girl in her may still be upset, but she no longer believes she is a victim. Dieting from the beginning. People magazine reported that she has battled her weight all her life, telling Oprah Winfrey that her first diet was at age 6. Neither of her parents were emotionally supportive and in fact only contributed to her lack of confidence. Vulture covered her 2014 speech at the Miss Foundation's Gloria Awards and Gala. In it, she said, "I got made fun of at home too. My older brother hated me, my dad just didn't understand me, and my mom, who had been a fat girl at my age herself, understood me perfectly." Though her mom had the same weight problems, she berated Sidibe because she knew what she was up against. Unfortunately, this made Sidibe feel that, even at home, she was unsafe. She swallowed her feelings by eating even more, sardonically noting, "Nothing says, 'you hurt my feelings, you,' like eating a delicious cookie. Cookies never hurt me." Teens can be mean. When Sidibe appeared on Andy Cohen's Watch What Happens Live in 2016, a caller asked for her help because her adolescent daughter was being bullied in school due to being overweight. Her answer? Find out what she loves about herself and to keep it with her every time somebody bullies her. The way Sidibe got through her adolescent years?
I knew every song on the radio,
Right.
and so I sang a lot. Older classes, like the senior girls, will come find me in school and have me sing their favorite song, which is weird. That's kind of what I found that I liked about myself.
Lessons from a sex operator. In her 2017 book, This Is Just My Face, Try Not to Stare, Sidibe talks about how when she was 21, her therapist at the time suggested she get a telemarketing job to pay the bills. But she says for some reason, she took telemarketing to mean phone sex operator. She recounted part of her story with Glamour. Sidibe learned quickly that the job was really about keeping the callers on the line long enough to ring up the bill. She also had to pretend to be white on the phone because it was a rule that you were not allowed to be any other race than white. She says, "According to what I had already seen at this company, the average talker was a plus-size black woman. That's right, white dudes, you might think you're talking to Megan Fox, but you're actually talking to, well, me." After 3 years on the job, she learned a lot that would benefit her acting career. She says, "I took what I learned about secrets, shame, and pleasure and applied it to the real world around me." Landing Precious. Sidibe had dabbled in a little acting but wasn't very serious about it. Then she heard about the opportunity to play the part in the movie Precious based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Precious Jones is an obese, illiterate New York teenager who has had one child by her father and is pregnant with the second. While not a happy story, it does become a more hopeful one, and one especially close to the heart for a young actress with a real history of an abusive father. According to the New York Times, it had taken months to find the right person to play Precious, and it was Sidibe who showed up late but blew everyone away. She cried real tears in the audition. Explaining her portrayal of the character, she told The Times, "I kind of had it in my mind that she wasn't the ugliest person in the room, but she felt like she was." Taking off. Sidibe has landed numerous plum roles since Precious. She appeared on The Big C, several iterations of Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story, Difficult People, and the 2011 movie Tower Heist. She currently co-stars in the hot Fox series Empire as Becky, a one-time assistant at the record company who worked her way up to vice president of the company. The Los Angeles Times wrote that the role was originally supposed to be a boyish, petite white girl, but Sidibe stole their hearts. She told them, "I enjoy the fact that out there is some little girl that is exactly like I was, and she doesn't see herself on TV. She sees herself in me on Empire. If it has to start with me, why not?" Haters gonna hate. The actress continues to break barriers in Hollywood. Sidibe's character Becky had a rooftop sex scene on Empire in 2015. It was treated matter-of-factly on the drama, but some people trashed her for it. She regularly blogs about the show for Entertainment Weekly and said, "I keep hearing that people are hating on it. I'm not sure how anyone could hate on love, but that's okay. You may have your memes. Honestly, I'm at work too busy to check Twitter anyway. #booked." Always a struggle. In Sidibe's 2017 book, she talks about her battle with depression, anxiety, and bulimia after her parents divorced. Radar Online published an excerpt from her book where she said, "The bulimia stuck around for about 3 years. Throwing up made me feel high. I felt a release around my head like a halo that made me feel lighter physically and emotionally." She revealed to Nylon that she also struggled with panic attacks and depression, even contemplating suicide. Successful therapy helped change her life for the better, but it's still not always easy. The actress admitted to the magazine, "I have been struggling with weight my entire life. I realized that as long as I have a body, it will be a struggle." Writing chops. Entertainment Weekly readers who check out her Empire blog or who read her Instagram account know that Sidibe is also a talented and funny writer. In 2017, the rest of the world discovered this with the release of her memoir, This Is Just My Face, Try Not to Stare. When she announced in 2015 that she was working on the book, Sidibe shared in a statement to Vulture, "I've been writing since I was a child and have always had so many stories to tell that are too long, shady, and impolite to share in interviews." She has been compared to Mindy Kaling and David Sedaris. Sidibe knows that she's got an amusing style, but notes in the book that we don't all have the same sense of humor, and that if we did, we'd all be making out with each other all the time and we'd never get anything done. Body war. Sidibe has said that she tried for years to lose the weight, but nothing stuck for good. In 2017, she told People that she had undergone weight loss surgery the previous year. She admits that the surgery was her savior. She wouldn't have been able to lose the weight without it. She told the magazine that she now works out regularly by swimming and riding a big tricycle, has a nutritionist, and is eating better. "It has taken me years to realize that what I was born with is all beautiful. I did not get this surgery to be beautiful. I did it so I can walk around comfortably in heels. I want to do a cartwheel. I want not to be in pain every time I walk up a flight of stairs." While she made an intentional decision to keep the number of pounds dropped to herself, she is significantly thinner than she was before the 2016 surgery. She told the magazine after her surgery, "I was in a war with my body for a long time. If I'd started treating it better sooner, I wouldn't have spent so many years hating myself. But I love my body now." The future is bright. Not only does Sidibe have a thriving acting and writing career and is going on her very first book tour for Try Not to Stare, she is trying her hand at directing. In 2016, she helmed a short film called The Tale of Four, which gets its plotline from the Nina Simone song Four Women. The actress continues to be a role model as she loses weight and ups her fitness level, her sense of humor always shining through. She told Nylon, "Listen, I'm a solitary, selfish person, but I hear people tell me about how my struggles have helped them, and I'm glad that my selfishness is helpful to someone else. I love my body and I deserve love. We all do, at any size." It's hard to argue with somebody with so much life experience who isn't afraid to tell it like it is. Bravo, Sidibe. We're with you every step of the way.